and welcome to Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I am Dustin Dumas, and I am here with Leslie Arthur, who is an AMC hike leader and outdoor enthusiast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
And AMC, can you tell us what that stands for?
Appalachian Mountain Club.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so we know each other because we've seen each other on hikes a few times. We actually have run into each other.
Yes.
Like we haven't actually been on the same hikes,
No,
but
we
we've
haven't.
just seen each other. But it's always good to see somebody else who looks like me
Yes.
outdoors. So, and that's why I want you to come on because I know that you have an interest in diversifying the outdoors. So before we get into all the different organizations that you belong to and the hikes that you lead, can you give us a little bit about your background?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. And it's always good seeing you out on the trails. Born and raised in East Orange. My mother was an educator she grew up in Virginia, went to Columbia for her doctorate. My father's from Barbados. And she really wanted me to experience everything. So as a child, ice skating lessons at Ralph Evans Ice Skating School in Millburn, and karate classes, and swimming at the YMCA in Orange, which no longer exists, and Boy Scouts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that background allowed me to be very confident and curious about stuff.
And that led you into the outdoors.
Into the outdoors and really everything. I'm a retired high school history teacher.
Oh, okay.
And worked on my PhD, not finished at Columbia. At Rutgers in history. Went to Hampton University for undergrad, historically black college, and of course Rutgers for the PhD candidate program. So yeah. That's me in a nutshell.
All right, that's pretty cool. I mean, you've had like a vast array of like experiences,
yes,
and that's
yes.
very cool that your parents wanted you to experience everything. Because I think that's important.
Yes.
At least you get an idea of what you like, what
Yes.
you may not like,
Right,
that kind of thing.
right,
So that's very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So specifically with the hiking, is this something that you've done? Like, did you start this when you were in Boy Scouts?
Yes. But Boy Scouts, you usually let that go around middle school or freshman in high school, and you find other interests. And I never really did any of that in high school or college.
The hiking?
None.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What happened was in my 30s, I started getting heavy.
Oh, okay.
And then I started going to the gym. And I was just curious if there were hiking trails in South Mountain Reservation and if there was bird watching. So I just went on the computer in 2013, and Locust Grove popped up, and the Millburn Public Library had maps. And I bought a map and went out, and there was a very lovely lady, and I asked her, what trail? And she said, well, the Lenape's tough, and the middle ones are intermediate, and the ferry trail is for beginners. I said, well, I'm a newbie, so I went out on the ferry trail and hiked to the first pond, which is about half a mile, and came back, and I just loved it, and just started coming out every weekend in the fall, and been doing it for 9 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say you just started, but you know what I mean? Like you started like less than a decade.
Yeah, less than a decade. It'd be 10 years next year, but just wanted to do something physical, exercise-wise, other than being in the gym.
Okay, that makes sense.
I was just curious if there were, in fact, trails in South Mountain Reservation. Who knew?
Right.
Because we don't know.
Right.
As people of color. It's not part of our, And then when I think about the places that my parents, we've gone, there was hiking there, but we didn't do that. Eagle Rock has trails.
Oh,
and
right.
of course, Bear Mountain is where the Appalachian Trail was first started, was built there at Eagle Rock, at Bear Mountain.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the first section was built.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And for people who are watching, these are like all different
Right.
Hiking spots
Right,
around New
right,
Jersey.
right.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I didn't realize that.
Right.
And so you started in South Mountain
Right.
around 2013,
Right.
and then you started exploring other
Well,
places as well.
I just hiked for about 2 years in the fall, and then in 2015 I was going through some situational depression,
Okay.
putting weight back on a little, and the PhD I couldn't finish it. It'd been too long, and some issues with some professors. And a therapist told me, Les, you got to get out. You got it. You just can't like throw the covers over your head and stay in. So now it's like the spring, and so I'm hiking now in the spring, and now I'm out on Lenape in South Mountain Reservation, and there's like nobody really out there.
Right.
I mean, I've been hiking bits and pieces, but now I'm out on Lenape, and that's when I realized that I needed to start hiking with people.
Oh, okay. You were just sort of just using a map and just
going
going on your
my
own?
Right. Sneakers
Okay.
and jeans, cotton
Okay.
shirt, cotton jacket, bottle of water, a couple of Band-Aids, and a map. And yeah, that's right, laughing at me. And
Well, I was
but
thinking
that's
now.
what you do,
Right, right.
And
You have
don't-
to start
'cause
somewhere.
and you don't know anything, and so I knew I needed to be with people, and I'd signed up with South Mountain Conservancy, and I was getting ready to hike with them, but on Meetup, Kiana Jones popped up under Newark Social, and she was having a birthday hike.
Okay.
So
And this
I
is like 2015
This
or
is
so?
2015
Okay.
April.
Okay.
And so I signed up for that, and there were folks in the parking lot at the library,
Oh, okay.
Milburn, and her boyfriend was driving at that time, and we all got in cars and went over to Tulip Springs, which for me opened up South Mountain,
Really?
because now there's a lot of trails from there.
Okay. Yes.
And
yes.
he took us from there, the waterfall, which I didn't know, from there to through Lenape to Locust Grove.
Okay.
And my knees and feet were killing me. And that's when he suggested, well, you got to get hiking shoes or hiking boots, man. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And that was a Sunday. And Monday I went to a shoe store, got the hiking shoes, Merle's, and hiked for 3 days straight after that. The shoes were so comfortable.
Wow.
They're designed to just out of the box shoes.
To just
Right,
It's almost like
right.
you don't even have to break them in.
Right,
for
you have
some
to break
of
them
the
in.
shoes.
That's what they're
Yeah.
there for. And then months later, I met someone who was on the Kiana hike on the trail, and she said Kiana's still hiking. And so I got in touch with Kiana. This is in June, and we started hiking, about 5 of us. And that group turned into Hikeolution, which is now an
I've heard of it.
organization. And then from that, she was on a panel discussion at the Newark Museum on the Alps and the Rockies, and should people be out there. And I met a guy that was for the AFC,
Okay.
and he invited us to the leadership course,
Okay.
and because they were looking for diversity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. This is all in 2015.
This is 2018 now.
2018 now? Okay.
For years I'm hiking with Kiana. We're going to other places.
Okay.
Worthington State Park, Novan Green. We're just going on our own, but meeting up with the chapter president of AMC, that allowed me to become a certified leader and to hike with older people. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know what? It sounds like you started hiking, you said initially because you felt like you were less.
Just wanted to
than-
exercise, do something
Yeah,
different than
yeah.
the gym.
Exactly.
Just
so
wanted to get out.
So obviously, you continued hiking.
Right.
You were sort of hiking by yourself.
Right,
Then
yes.
you joined other people.
Yes.
So what made you continue hiking?
It's therapy. Nature
Okay.
is therapy.
Okay.
It makes, as I know you know, it just makes you feel great.
Yeah.
Hiking is, well, let's face it, either you're going to like it or you're not.
That's
And that's
true.
right. And for some people, it's walking in a park. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. For others, it's trail running. I meet a lot of those kind of folks, and trail bike riding, and that's fine.
Yep.
But hiking is, if you like it, it just makes you feel good. It boosts your mood. It reduces your blood pressure and your depression and your anxiety, and you're in there with nature, and it's just delicious. It's just amazing. There's nothing like it.
And I'm glad you mentioned the other things that people could do.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times people think that you're not really hiking unless you are in the Alps. You're not really hiking unless you're doing this,
Right.
4 out of 5,
Right.
trail.
Right.
And hiking can be, is as simple as being on a trail that's somewhat paved,
Yes.
and there's no elevation.
Right.
And I think a lot of people put a lot of expectation on this is the correct way to hike, and I think that prevents a lot of people from even starting.
Right,
So that's great to hear how you started, where you're just like, I have on gym shoes, I have on the cotton shirt. You learn. But you have to start somewhere, and I think people who are watching and listening to this, that's important. That you don't have to go out there with the $200 Keen or Merrell shoes and all this other stuff. It's just like you said, it's getting out there, and it's so therapeutic.
Right. It's getting out there. Like I said, I hiked in sneakers and jeans for 2 years, and eventually that became uncomfortable because I'm hiking every weekend.
Right.
But once you get the hiking shoes and some good socks, you're pretty straight.
Right.
And as time goes by, you may want to get other gears, as with any sport.
Correct.
But if you just want to, it's just walking in nature, so it's not that complicated,
Right.
And it's a lot of fun.
And so I appreciate you saying all of that. The other thing about hiking that you mentioned is, there's that communal aspect. I mean, you obviously were hiking by yourself initially, and I'm sure you still hike by yourself.
Yes.
But it's the communal aspect too.
Right.
Can you speak to that?
It's important. First of all, it's important for people of color to have family, to have friends who are going through the things we go through, because unfortunately the outdoor spaces has not always been safe or comfortable for us, or accessible.
True, yes.
So, and there's been a lot of structural racism within hiking groups. They're not always aware of it, and they're now trying to correct that, which is good.
Right.
So that's what, of course, got you in South Mountain Conservancy and me with AMC, and Sierra Club is now trying to do diversity. So everybody's trying to start opening up the outdoors, but you really need to be with people. You're talking, you're finding things in common, and what happens is, if you're lucky, you develop a sense of community about nature, exercise, and nutrition.
Yes.
You'll start to talk about the different kinds of foods you want to eat or not eat, or what different nutritional tips, and you develop people who help you better yourself.
Right.
And you're not even aware of it because you're just hiking.
Right.
These are just folks that hike. And then when you meet folks who are non-black, you meet white folks, they're doing all kinds of things. So you'll meet. I met a guy once. I was leading a hike, and he just got back from Costa Rica, and he literally went on the Costa Rica trip to hike.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, really? Oh, yeah. And you're just going on and discussing it. And that's like, oh, I never thought of that. And then now you start finding out that there are travel agencies where you can do outdoor activities. It's not just, shuffleboard on the deck of a cruise ship anymore.
It's very active.
Right. You can find activity things to do, to go to Iceland and all different places. And so, but those are the things that they bring when you truly do have diversity, when you have people of color and whites hiking together.
And that is so important because one of the things that I've learned, from the camaraderie of hiking, is that you find out about all the other people and what they're doing, as far as they're going. Yeah. But we're right at the end of this segment, so I'm going to pick this up on the other side. But we'll be right back. I'm Dustin Dumas, and this is Dustin's Kaleidoscope.
It's an onion.
Hi, and welcome back to Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I am Dustin, and I am here with Leslie Arthur. And at the end of the last segment, we were talking about how it's important to have that diversity within your hiking groups. And one of the reasons you mentioned was that there are some people who know about certain hikes, and you were saying that there was a person that actually went to Costa Rica specifically to hike.
Right.
So I think that I agree with you that that's so
Yeah.
important to
Yeah.
have that level of diversity
Right.
because
Right.
even if you are, because I think one, it expands
Yeah.
your
Right.
reach of what you think you can do.
Yeah.
Because these people who are going on these destination hikes started off, I'm sure, locally,
Yes.
wherever they are.
Right,
So,
right.
but that gets me to a question for you. Do you have a particular hike in mind that you would consider that you haven't done?
Well, I have. Okay, well, diversity in hiking started during COVID.
Okay, and explain what diversity in hiking
Okay,
is.
that's my personal hiking group, my business,
Okay.
But I'm an AMC hiking leader. Most of my hikes since 2018 till 2020
Okay.
were with AMC,
Okay.
and they were usually integrated. I had folks from a meetup group called Over 40 Singles, and that were people of color, and I would bring them in with AMC,
Oh, okay.
and
okay.
both older, and
Okay.
we hiked together. But when the pandemic came, hiking groups, as you know, just shut down
Yes.
for fear of COVID.
Yep.
So I'm now getting calls from friends. Les, are you doing any hiking? Of course. I'm out every weekend. Can I go? Yeah, sure, if you want to, And then I would get other calls. And then Kiana would get calls from folks, is there an older group other than you? Because, Kiana's like 35,
Right.
Oh, yeah, Les Arthur has an older group.
Right.
So then I just started hiking with friends that I had hiked with, people that I'd hiked with.
Oh.
These are folks that I had
COVID.
hiked.
Right.
Right. These are folks from Over 40, from Hikeolution, from AMC, who would just call and ask.
Okay.
And we just started hiking. And that's how diversity in hiking got started.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it was
see.
just informal people that have hiked with me that wanted to hike, because when COVID hit, as you know, the only thing you could do was be outdoors.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And it was comfortable.
Right.
I mean, it was, instead of being
Right.
stuck inside,
Right.
it was a nice reprieve just to
Right.
get
Just to get
outside
out.
and just
Right.
be in the sun, even if it was in the winter.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's another thing. You hike year round.
Yes, I hike year round.
Yeah. And I think that's important for people to know because
Yes.
I think depending on where you live,
Right.
some people think, well, I'm only going to hike when it's above 70 degrees or, like if there's no snow on the ground.
Right.
But
No, you want to hike year round. There's an old saying: "There's no such thing as bad weather, just great gear." So if you get
I
the
love
right,
it.
you get the
I
right
love it.
clothes, the right stuff. REI is a good place. Campmore is a good place. If you don't have those in the area, just check with your Sporty's good stores, and they'll try to order you some things. But yeah, once you start hiking with different people, black people, white people, Native, Indians, Native Americans, Asians, Latinos, everybody brings something from personal experience to the trail. And specifically with white folks, and I'm making a generalization, many of them have been hiking since they were children,
right.
okay? Because I still see that. We're starting to do that a little bit too, but most of them have been hiking for years. And you'll have them on a hike and, I went to Spain, and we went hiking, and you're like, really? And one woman wants to hike with horses somewhere in the
that's
southeast,
interesting.
like Mongolia or something,
Oh. Wow.
But you hear these different things, and one person I met did a nice Appalachian Trail hike, I think, in Delaware and Maryland for a week.
Oh, okay.
So she's with a hiking leader, older people. They probably do maybe 10, 20 miles, 15 miles a day, stay in a nice hotel,
Oh, see, that's
get back out,
the
do
clincher.
the trail, nice hotel, nice dinner, glass of wine with dinner, and I'm like,
this is perfect.
this is perfect. So
Right.
those are the things you really get with a diverse, integrated hiking community.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people would think like if I'm hiking the Appalachian Trail, I'm obviously going to be, I have a tent, I have all that
Right.
kind of stuff. Where, like you said,
Right.
depending on the type of hiking you're
Right.
doing, it could
Right.
be, you're
Right.
doing your miles during the day,
Right.
but you are
Right.
relaxed
Right.
and
Right.
in the jacuzzi at
Right.
night. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, so it's refreshing.
she was just talking about it. She had just come back from it. I was like, that's a great way to do that.
Exactly.
It's a week.
Right.
So you're doing a section hike. You're getting probably 100 miles in, but 10, 15, 20 a day, and then you stay at a nice, Holiday Inn or motor lodge, whatever, and you eating, drinking, like you said, the swimming, jacuzzi. It doesn't get any better than that.
Right. It's glamping.
Yeah, it's glamping, which is also great.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with glamping.
So you mentioned the gear.
Right.
Like, there are no bad days to hike.
Yes, just
the
good
appropriate
gear.
Exactly.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about the gear that you use?
Sure. This is what's called a day pack.
Okay.
And the beauty is it has hip support.
Okay.
Hip support.
And why is that important?
Well, you will carry whatever you need in your backpack. I might have a first aid kit,
Okay.
first aid book.
Got it.
I don't really know how to suck the poison out of snake bites, so I need the book to tell me how to do that. But you carry your lunch, headlamp, your jacket, sweater, but with the hip support, the weight is on your hips. You want at least 60% of your weight on your hips, so you can continue to hike comfortably.
Okay.
Without it being on your shoulders.
Because people don't realize that if they only have the
Right.
straps,
Right.
they will dig into your shoulders,
yes.
and you are like, I'm not hiking anymore.
Right, it's not fun.
Right.
It's not fun. And,
Right.
and it's nothing wrong if that's what you start with. If you have one of your high school or college
Yep.
backpacks and you want to start with that, fine. But as time goes by, you got to get a backpack with hip supports. And for age, you want to get a trekking pole.
And why would someone use that?
Well, this is started from probably skiers, cross-country skiers, and someone decided to start this with hiking.
Oh.
But the point is, it takes the weight off your knees.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It takes about 25% weight
Wow,
off of
I
your
didn't
body.
realize that.
Yeah.
Just by using
Just by using the poles.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to protect your knees because you're hiking on rocks, as you know,
Right.
and tree roots. So the trekking poles are really great.
And I like how they're adjustable too.
And they're
there's
adjustable.
some that
Yeah.
are not. There's some, they're like
Yeah.
with all this gear,
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
There's such a
Yeah.
large
Right.
a
But you want to get
variety.
adjustable ones. And again, any of these things you can order online, but it's
Right.
always good to go to REI or Campmore in the area. Those places, the folks that work there, they're not just salespeople. They're outdoor enthusiasts
Right.
who just work in retail because that's a gig for them. So when you go to REI or Campmore, these folks have been hiking and backpacking and kayaking and mountaineering, and they'll tell you anything. They'll talk about it, anything you want to know about, what kind of tents to get, what kind of backpacks,
Right.
what kind of shoes. So they're really good. They'll recommend what to get, and it's good. It's good stuff.
And so for the so you have the backpack,
Right.
and your backpack also has a place in it for
Hydration.
hydration.
Yeah, it's got a little,
which is very nice. And for people who don't know what that is, basically it allows you to have your water on the
Right.
go.
On the
Like
go,
you don't
yeah.
have to have. You can
Right.
you can put a
Right.
water bottle in there as
Right.
well, but it
Right.
also is incorporated
Right.
into the backpack as well. And what is this?
This is a lighter that will light in the wind. I don't know if it's working. Let's find
Oh,
out.
okay. And this is great because if you happen to be out in a windy area,
Right.
it'll light up.
Right. It should
So.
light up. Okay. Oh, there it is.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
So it's like an electrical light.
I see. Yeah.
And that way,
You're
You'll always have light.
Yeah.
because, matches go out, but this thing
And they
in
get
the
wet.
wind, and they get wet.
And I noticed that's in a waterproof.
Yeah, I keep
case.
everything. Yeah, I keep waterproof case, and just something I got online. I'm always concerned as a hiking leader about safety, as you
Right.
are, and any problems. The worst thing you're worried about is if someone falls and you have to
Exactly.
stay in the area,
Yeah.
or if you meet people out on the trail who are lost.
Yes.
It's fun, but please bring water, snacks, fruit, protein bar, and if I'm hiking 5-6 miles, I'm going to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Right. You have to have something.
You have to have something.
And I think the water thing is
Right.
very important because
Right.
I think a lot of people underestimate how
Yes.
much water they
Yes.
actually need. They're
Yes.
like, I'm only going to be out here
No.
for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you need water,
You
and
need
you need
water.
to drink it before you
Yes.
actually
Yes.
start to feel
Yeah.
thirsty.
Yes.
we only have a few minutes left, but I wanted you to talk about some of the books that you brought, and tell us about the.
Okay, well, this is an actual map of Ramapo Reservation.
Okay.
And it's designed by the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference.
Oh, okay.
The Trail Conference is an organization that has done all of the trails in North Jersey and New York over 2,000 miles.
Wow.
And you think of America as 3,000 miles long.
Right.
And they've done 2,000 miles in North Jersey and New York.
That's pretty amazing.
So they've done them all. And they're constantly cleaning them up and moving logs and cutting trees and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But if you want to hike, and this is also on apps.
Oh, okay.
It's online.
Okay. Like All Trails.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can download them and all that. The 50 Hikes in New Jersey is a go-to book. It's got just great hiking in Jersey.
Right.
Jenny's Jump I just went to this weekend. It's got the Nova Green hikes.
Yes.
And it's good stuff. And this is, of course, by African-American writer, Black Faces in White Spaces, about how to reimagine hiking and outdoor stuff for people of color.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing those. I'll make sure that we have a nice visual of those. But I think it's important for people who are watching to know that, we both, I'm
Right.
an avid hiker
Right.
as well.
Yes.
And we both started off as just
Right.
exploring.
Yeah.
And then it just became something that, like, okay, well, let me look at this trail.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say, like, at least in the local reservation,
Right.
like, it's okay to get lost.
Right.
Like, you're
Right.
gonna hit
Right.
a major
Right.
street at some point. So we're almost out of time, but I wanted you, is there anything else that you think that we should know about you or about hiking in general, or any general advice you give people?
Just get out and hike. It's very easy to go online and find hiking groups. Meetup.com is a great place. You just type in, if you want to throw a Frisbee in Central Park, there's a group that does it
Yes.
with Meetup. So you can find hiking groups and then get with folks. And there's a lot of people who are knowledgeable hiking leaders, and just start hiking. It's just good for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. We have a few moments
Okay.
left. So we covered all of the gear. We've covered some of the books. We've covered even a couple of, more than a couple of trails.
Right.
Is there a favorite trail that you have in South Mountain?
Oh, South Mountain?
Yeah.
Probably Elmsdale
Oh, okay.
is my favorite trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elmsdale is the oldest trail. The last project that Frederick Law Olmsdale did,
Okay.
who's the father of landscape architecture and the guy that did Central Park in New York and Prospect Park in Brooklyn and Branch Brook Park in Newark. But that's the last trail. It was done in 1895, and he helped to map that out.
Okay.
And then upon his passing, his sons took the firm, and they designed all of the parks in Essex County.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the beauty of that is South Mountain is great because you can go and experience nature.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that went to England and saw how beautiful that stuff was, and he
Right.
wanted that here. But neighborhood parks allow you to go to the parks.
Right.
So for him, you go to the park. But for the neighborhoods, the park comes to you.
Right.
And with the neighborhood park, they're special because you don't have to have any money. You don't have to be special. They're there
Right.
in our neighborhoods, and you can go for a walk. You can throw a Frisbee. You can play soccer, football, whatever you want to do. And they were lucky that these guys, during the industrial Gilded Age, came up with the thought that we need to start conservation and preserving America's great land.
So thank
Yeah.
you so much. That's a great way to end this segment. Thank you so much for coming on Dustin's Kaleidoscope and sharing with us your love of hiking
Well,
and the importance of diversity in hiking.
Thank you for inviting me. This was fun.
You're very welcome. I'm Dustin Dumas, and this was Dustin's Kaleidoscope, and we will see you next time. Bye.